That's why I wasn't able to say like yes or no in an immediate factor. It has to do with how we understand the value that we put to materiality, and that's why it's dialectical.
You should have an abortion just because you want to. There shouldn't be a reason.
Sure.
And you think there should be no justifiable reason behind abortion at all.
Yeah, there's no reason to ever violate somebody's body when they're growing and developing in the first stages of life.
So I think that's the part that most of America would say is the fact that you guys have no willingness to budge and you have no willingness to budge. That's most of America is not on your side or your side.
Yeah.
Whether you want to believe it or not, most of America does not support a full access to abortion.
No, that's
and
true.
No, hold on. And most of America does not support a full ban on abortion. That is the truth.
Yeah, we understand that.
Well, it's largely because people misunderstand late-term abortions of that nature.
But we shouldn't go off
if-
human opinions, right?
If the purpose of a late-term abortion is to save the mother's life, and that's allowed, but let's say if there's no threat to the mother, if there's no case of rape or incest, if there's no threat to the baby,
Sure.
would you
So
support
here's
a
the
ban?
other problem with that
I
again
wanna
is
answer
materiality. Oh yeah.
I personally would not, but that's not to say that shouldn't be allowed to happen. The thing is, nobody's doing that. If
That's not
somebody's carrying it...
That's not true. I know people.
No,
Okay.
I can assure you that you do not.
Okay.
Nobody who is carrying a child to term and dealing with the health consequences of that and all the money that's involved is going to go, oh, I don't want it anymore. And
By
abort
second
it.
term,
It's just
everybody
not
knows
something
the
that
price.
happens.
So
That's not
third
true.
term-
So, for example,
No,
I'll give you an example. What about I think it was a 19-year-old girl in Arizona, who Arizona is a abortion state up to 9 months. She birthed the baby and then killed it.
That's correct.
Yes.
I'm familiar.
So if there's why did that happen?
So we would say that that's just fucked up on their part. However, the problem again comes down to, even if you say like, put on all these restrictions or whatever in the third term, right? Again, that permits a form of weaponization of the state against those individuals, which is again the part of materiality. We can't just be ideal about it and be like, oh yeah, everybody who wants an abortion correctly is going to get an abortion correctly, and everyone who doesn't want it won't get it. That's not how things work. We have to be realistic about it and pragmatic about it and say that every single time that we place up these barriers, it allows for another form of weaponization against women.
Like theft.
Okay.
Theft of people's property. The government is weaponized against the public through theft of people's material
Yes,
property.
the state is a weapon. That is not like up to contest. The problem is that we believe that weapon should be utilized against the bourgeoisie who oppress everybody else.
And you do justify theft. You think that theft is okay.
If you define theft as taxes, then sure, yes, taxes are okay.
So then how do you know who determines what's right and what's wrong in your worldview? Is it just whoever has the power?
Collective.
Yes.
The collective?
Yes.
The people.
So if the collective thinks that slavery is good, then it's good?
So that wasn't even the collective that thought that. That was entirely the bourgeoisie who
correct.
sent out people into presses, into the churches, telling them that slavery was justified. If we had a system that was under the people's control, under slaves' control during that time, then we would have seen a much better outcome.
No,
But we didn't.
I'm saying hypothetically. I'm saying hypothetically. I'm not.
Yes.
So the example I gave you is an example of a full-term abortion.
Sure. Yes.
So it is happening, is what I'm saying. That is an example of it. That,
Okay, in very, very rare and
Yeah,
frequent
women-
we all know about it because it was publicized so very much.
So would you
Otherwise, it's
support a
not
ban on that?
Women have thrown their babies in dumpsters for forever. Women have abandoned their babies out in the cold since ancient times.
Because all
Right,
those
so
cases
they've
weren't able to
purpose-
have abortion before that. And then occasionally
Those are
you
abortions.
have serial like but in other cases you have basically what are like serial killer mindsets or whatever in which they're going to kill babies. That should be punished. But also
Why?
if that baby was already born.
Why should Why should they be punished for killing born
Are
babies?
you suggesting that they shouldn't be?
No, I'm saying in your
So in
worldview,
that
in
case,
your
we
in your
understand-
materialist worldview, why should somebody be
Because in
punished
that
for
case,
killing a
notice
baby?
how both of us instinctually understand that you should probably not kill them.
No, it's mine is based off revelation from omniscience, and yours isn't.
So, but here's my point that I'm going to give back to you. Neither of you are willing to budge.
Yes.
That is the
Sure.
problem. That
Why
is
is
the
that a
fundamental
problem?
problem.
No, the problem is they don't have a worldview that involves omniscience revealing to non-omniscience what's true.
Yes, that's true.
Because it's just there's so many different opinions. Who's right and who's wrong? How do you adjudicate between these different opinions to come to a conclusion about what should actually happen?
That's true.
You need an ultimate authority. That's what it comes down to. They don't have an ultimate authority in their worldview. They say it's the collective. So if the collective thinks that that slavery is okay, slavery would be okay in their worldview.
But-
Okay, then why is slavery wrong? No, you talked about what happened, but not about the hypothetical. if everybody, like maybe 90% of the society thought slavery was good, and they thought it was good to.
Once more.
No.
This big if of like.
Right, it could happen. It could happen.
What if the world was made of butter? It's like, okay, the world isn't made of butter. Why should I deal with this hypothetical that doesn't actually exist? This is what I mean by you are idealistic. You focus on the ideal rather than what's materially in front of you. This is why you will always be misled in terms of being able to follow along with whatever your ideals are rather than what the material working class needs.
No, I'm making an argument that shows how your worldview is not a good one for determining what is actually moral and what should actually happen to people, because it is perfectly possible for a society, the majority of a society, to support slavery. This happened in ancient times. Was slavery okay? No, it wasn't. But in your worldview, you have to say slavery is okay because the collective said it's okay.
That's not what.
And how do you measure the collective? Is it the collective of the whole world? Is it the collective that lives on an island? If there's an island that's a collective of psychopaths, is it okay for them to rape and torture people on that island?
So again,
no.
Weird ifs that don't actually happen. So you're
They
not
could happen.
engaging
They
in
could happen.
You're not engaging in materialism. You're
Yeah, I
just
am.
engaging these hypothetical, idealistic versions of the
And
world.
I don't accept your
again,
materialism.
okay,
I don't
so
accept.
every
I
single
don't.
time that you'll give us these hypotheticals, I'm just going to ask you, what if the world's made of butter? And we'll have the same.
Yeah, it's not the same thing at all.
Conversation essentially.
It's not the same thing at all. It's completely different than the world is. What if the world was made of butter?
How?
Because
It's a
it is perfectly possible for a society, the majority of a society, the collective, to support slavery, to support an evil.
That the ground underneath us could be made of butter. You take
Okay,
it as
so
like
I
butter.
have-
Well, in your worldview, but not in mine, because I have revelation from the all-knowing being to tell me the true nature of reality.
Okay. Hang on. So listen. So I said, obviously, we are not in a collective state. We are run by the Constitution. We're also not in a Christian state. The Bible is not the law. The collective is also not the law. We have the Constitution. Everyone has the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Now,
Except
obviously-
preborn children.
Hold on, that's what I'm getting. It applies to people who are enslaved. That's why slavery is not allowed. Why should it not apply to the unborn?
So again, because of the fact that the value placed on the fetus is one that is socially determined. So again, prior to the 70s, before there was this big push against desegregation, Protestants all thought collectively that there is no
Yes.
child born after
Yes,
this
I
one.
understand.
So we should understand that this is a social phenomenon.
Who decides? That's the question.
God.
Who should decide?
So, but that's not how the country's run. The
No,
wor-
but that's
The
why
house-
we are students for
Students
socialism.
for
We are a
socialism, because we're-
revolutionary Marxist
So, but again,
organization.
he does have a point. In a situation that the society does run everything, technically slavery could be possible.
No, that was
Yes,
not
it is.
because this is like again part of this idealistic view of slavery of like let's only listen to the white people and what they thought. There were lots of black people who actually, surprise, surprise, didn't like slavery.
Yes.
That so
But they were also not allowed to have an opinion because of the majority.
Because
they
of
were
the
not
rule
the
of the
majority.
bourgeois.
Yeah,
Yes.
because of the rule of bourgeois. They were not the majority. There were lots of poor white people. There were lots of black people that
Yes.
did not support slavery. In fact,
They did support slavery by not fighting against it.
The only people
They did support slavery.
The
They
only
actually were not the
people
majority.
who
I will say-
supported slavery were the bourgeois, were the
About slave
landowners.
revolts.
But
They
it wasn't
existed
as
in
big.
U.S. history, and they definitely existed.
Yeah,
in
but the
ancient
vast
times.
majority of people in the U.S. in that time were okay with slavery. They didn't think, oh, we need to stop this now. We need to get free the slaves now. And they were okay with it. They were participating in the economy that flourished off of slaves.
Yes, and we.
Yeah, they should have. There should have been a revolt of all these white people who thought it was wrong, but they were okay with it enough to not do anything about it. And in that way, they supported it.
Yes, they didn't revolt immediately against it. That doesn't mean that they were for it. Like,
They were for it.
Okay, are you taking up arms against the U.S. government right now?
No, but I'm
Okay,
fighting
so
it through
you're
what I'm
saying
doing out
everything-
here. I'm
Okay,
seeking to
see-
change minds.
See, exactly. You're not taking up arms against the U.S. government right now. Does that mean you support the
Right.
entirety
I'm
of
not
the US
saying they
government?
should have been violent. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying there should have been some kind of uprising that made social change through a great public outcry. But that didn't happen.
John Brown.
But
John
that's
Brown.
a tiny minority.
No,
No,
he
that-
was
that's-
hanged, and it really sparked a
The
mass
abolitionist movement was huge.
conscious of abolition.
But the majority of people were okay with slavery.
They were
The
not.
majority of
Is that-
people,
How do you know?
because I've learned history. I graduated from college.
Yes.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, and you think that the collective determines what can happen. And so for any given thing that happens to people, if the collective thinks that's okay, then it's okay. If the collective thinks it's okay to steal people's money, if the collective thinks it's okay to take 90% of your paycheck, then that's what's going to happen. If the collective thinks so, that's evil. That's messed up.
So let's say the United States is very anti-socialist right now.
Yes.
No.
What if, as a, what if, it is
We
true.
live
No,
it.
it is true.
We fucking
Most
live
of
it.
the
It's already socialist. It's already, our government is already taking our money.
Damn, I wish it were.
So what if the collective decided that we don't want socialism, we don't want you preaching socialism, you're not allowed to? Would you accept it? As the collective of America decided you can't preach socialism,
So the working class.
would you accept that?
So again, this is a what if the world's made of butter situation. The working class is largely in favor of socialism. In fact, even when you remove the word socialism, projects that we fight for are widely popular amongst working class people that we go out into the neighborhoods for. Things like rent control, things like universal health care. These are widely popular.
I understand.
And so if we
But
like
this is a hypothetical
She
question.
didn't finish answering.
Yes, and so again, this is a what if the world's made of butter situation. What we have to do is look at what is actually wanted by people right here, right now. In these hypothetical situations, this is like how we get into issues with idealism, which is that we end up all entirely hypothetical and being slaves to essentially a hypothetical thought process rather than what is actually material, rather than what actually helps us right here.
This is a hypothetical.
Socialism never worked in the past.
So socialism does work right now. Socialism works right now. Cuba to ourselves was able to create 5 COVID vaccines in the midst of blockades and sanctions. And while the U.S. was floundering in order to try to make the exact same 2 vaccines, this is a problem. The problem is that socialism succeeds so much so that the U.S. has to crack down on it.
Why does it succeed?
Because like this is so that's complex in that one we have the Communist Party USA early on that floundered in terms of trying to be principled. They lost their principalities and instead tried to follow electoral processes. Then there were multiple splits off from that party that all floundered around.
Right?
Not really. It was more so just like they just didn't have the correct theory to back up what their thought process was.
So what's to say that that wouldn't happen? Let's say the U.S. becomes socialist.
Yeah.
What's to say that doesn't happen in the U.S.?
So what happens with, again, if we look to the real actually existing socialism right now, again, Cuba to ourselves, we see that the power of the people allows us to continue going forward in way more progressive means than previously before. So what allows for this, again, to kind of answer that question is that people's empowerment allows for it to prevent this kind of return to the bourgeois that we saw with other forms of like social democracy.
So the other thing is, so everything has to be enforced. Who is to enforce this socialism and to
It would have
prevent
to
it
be the
from?
state. Yeah, it has
So
to be
the state.
Yeah.
So then you're placing all your power in the state. So you have to trust the state.
Yeah, we trust the state right now. Like,
So what happens if you don't trust the state? Let's say the collective of the U.S. does not trust the state.
then they
what
overthrow
happens?
it. They do exactly what we.
And then let's say they establish a capitalist society.
But they.
Then what?
Okay.
I kind of work
One,
with this team.
the overthrowing of other governments, say for example in the USSR, were widely unpopular. In fact, the USSR, when a poll was done after it, I think it's 70% of Russians want to return to the USSR. The overthrow of it was done not by the people, but rather by outside forces and particularly rich people within the USSR who have become corrupt, yes. But however, a big thing about materiality and a big thing about dialectical materiality, that's a very specific part, is that we learn continually through scientific exploration of sociality. Not just through stating like these idealistic figures of how the world ought to work, but rather continually experimenting to see what can we do to make the world better.
But here's just the underlying problem. If you study sociology, you know the human mind is geared to want.
That's not
more.
correct. As an anthropology major, that is not correct.
Okay.
There is no such thing as human nature.
Okay.
There is such a thing as human
No,
nature.
it is not.
God tells us human nature in the Bible.
Absolutely is not.
What controls
No.
our behavior?
Materialism. The materials that we have at hand and how we get those materials.
Desire for materials. Desire in the human heart.
For materials. I mean, I don't know about you. I just got out an exam on like Neanderthals and Neanderthal culture. And they had stone tools. And they had stone tools because they had a need to butcher meat.
And people want all types of things that they don't need, correct? All over the world, everyone. Right, but people want certain types of food that they don't need, right? They need food, but they want certain types of food. They want barbecue. They don't need barbecue.
They didn't. I mean, I think they probably did barbecue. But it was.
But people want more than basic needs. This is just so obvious.
Barbecue not a basic need. It's food.
I'm saying the barbecue itself is not a basic need. I'm saying the food is a basic need, but people want more than that. Human nature is to be greedy and to seek wealth. Yes, it is.
If this were true, society would have killed it.
Read the Bible. Read God's word. You don't
An
have.
anthropology textbook.
I'm an anthropology major. I have a 4-year degree in cultural anthropology.
Okay, and it's cultural.
in common.
And
So I've studied the same type of things that you've studied to some extent.
and this is where you've ended up?
Yeah, because the Bible is my final authority, not human opinions. You're a collectivist. You think that a bunch of people can come up with their own morality and then start inflicting pain and injustice on other people just because it's the collective.
And your restrictions against abortion aren't inflicting pain or injustice among women?
It's not injustice because it's a human being that's